former NFL players calling on the league to lift its ban on cannabis. In an interview with Yahoo Finance's Alexis, Keenan, Eugene, Monroe, and Jonathan Cassillas say marijuana offers a much safer alternative to opioids that doctors currently prescribed to players. And Alexis is here with us in the studio to talk about that. This was a fascinating interview, in part because you also had a doctor there who was talking about the high uses of opioids in the league. We've documented the injuries that happened. The fact that these players are saying we were in so much pain, we turned to marijuana, and then we got kicked out of the league is certainly something that's significant ahead of the collective bargaining.
Right. So this organization, Doctors for Regulation of Cannabis, is actually what it's called. And Dr. David Nathan, he's a psychiatrist, and he has paired not only with NFL players, but also other prominent physicians so that their voices can collectively be heard to make this point loud and clear. Now, I talked with Jonathan Cassillas as well as Eugene Moore, both former NFL players, and here's what they had to say. In this particular spot, you're going to hear from Dr. Nathan and Eugene Moore. We'll hear more of that online from Jonathan Cassillas, but here's the way that they put it, and here's how they said that the NFL is absolutely getting this policy wrong.
But those same doctors are beholden to the NFL, and they know where their paycheck comes from. The great majority of American physicians understand the medical use of cannabis.
The NFL earmarked $100 million for player health and safety. Let's use some of that money to research cannabis. When the season ends, the prescription for opioids don't stop. The prescriptions for anti-inflammatories don't stop.
And it's not to say that everybody should be using cannabis in place of those other two categories. What we need is choice.
Yeah, so in the case of Eugene Moore, so when he first publicly spoke out about his support for cannabis regulation and the fact that he thought that NFL players should be able to use it without penalty, and of course the NFL's policy is a no-tolerance policy, and it comes with a lot of penalties, and for repeat offenders, that can include complete suspension from the league. So let's look, though, at what the opioid use percentages are for former NFL players. You have 26% in a recent study saying that they are using opioids still to this day. And of those users, almost 12% of them are misusing, meaning that they're not using opioids as they were prescribed.
As a painkiller, basically.
Right, as a painkiller. So these players and these doctors say, give the players choice. It doesn't mean that opioids aren't the right choice for some occasions. It doesn't mean that anti-inflammatories may not be the right choice in certain instances, but they said that players should have the choice, and particularly in states that have chosen to legalize medical marijuana. And, you know, these players have no access to that, even though most of the NFL teams are based in places where medical marijuana is okay and legal. When
you say the percentage of NFL players, retired or former, who are misusing opioids, are they self-reporting that, or are those players saying, I'm misusing it?
Yes. Yeah, in this particular study, it was a 2018 study, so it's fairly recent. They're saying, yes, I'm misusing it, and I'm grabbing it when it's for an indication other than prescribed.
So then that number could, I guess, be even higher.
Sure.
If it's just self-reported.
And I guess at the end of the day, it just comes down to how you view cannabis as a whole, right? I mean, clearly the league sees it still as a drug instead of something that can be used for medicinal purposes. But as the conversation evolves, maybe their stance changes as well. We'll continue to follow the story. Thanks for that, Alexis.
You're welcome.